we were talking about how that can be a sign of stress because food is something you can control when you can't control anything else, right? It's a way of helping you get through something. There can be different reasons why people do these things, but usually it's because those expectations of the holidays coming up, the overstimulation, the excitement, whatever else it is, when you've got very little control, food can become a source of, I want this every day because it's familiar and I'm used to it and I like the way it tastes. But yeah, I just thought there was some really great conversations there. What you
For me, during the holidays, and I did mention this to you several times on different conversations where we all have different relationships with food, and it's an intimate relationship, right? There's like, and for me, it's definitely something that I had to change over time because now I just read like as early as September, like people start preparing, all the lights start to come up, and I have to work with. So she's now 11, she's turning 12 in a few months, and I'm hoping this year it's going to be a lot better because yet I'm not sure if she mentioned, but Zoe regressed to the point that she's only eating one thing, which is um, a form of chips flavored like roasted chicken. That's the only thing she'll eat. And until to this day, I will not eat that food because all of her leftovers, I eat it. I'm scared to throw it away, but I want to understand better and hoping that this conversation will allow me to get a better understanding on how to approach.
If I speak from my perspective, some of that I can actually relate to because if I'm stressed or overwhelmed, I don't eat. I will eat when I'm hungry. And if everything else has taken over, I'm not feeling hungry.
Oh,
That can be a concern because I can go 2-3 days without eating. I'm aware of how much of an impact that can have. So what I try and do is balance it out a little bit. Normally eat through the day. If I'm working and focused, I don't eat. When I'm in the office, I will go for lunch with people, but that's only for the sake of going for lunch with people. It's not, oh, I'm hungry, I want something to eat. If I'm in that situation and I have to eat, it's only a couple of things that I'll have. And chicken is one of them. I don't like the question of being asked, what do you want to eat? Just put something in front of me for the sake of eating. I'm not particular. However, if I'm not in that situation, I really struggle in restaurants because when I look at the menu, I think I could have 4 or 5 things. What one do I pick? It's a combination of the two. I can relate to the fact that when holidays come up, stressful times, sensory overload, that can impact with food. It is something that even as an adult, it's learning then that that's not necessarily a bad thing. How do you manage it and how do you take that forward? How, in your case, Kay, instead of just one thing, how do you get options there and saying, right, which one of these options so that there's that choice and then that health benefit from that will work as well.
I
exactly.
I struggle with menus, but I also struggle when people talk to me about food. My brain immediately is like, am I hungry? Yes, no. Is it something that I like enough to be satisfied eating that I need to put fuel in my body? Yes, I am a big lover of vegetables and starches on a plate. I do like my potatoes and vegetables. If you put those things in front of me, I will just eat them. And thankfully, Brian's learned what those foods are. He loves cooking, and I'm dangerous in a kitchen. I don't want anything. There's absolutely nothing that I want. Um, the thought of making a decision is so overwhelming. What if it's not the right choice? And what if I regret this decision and wanted that instead? It's like an existential crisis trying to choose in a restaurant. Whenever I have to go to a function where they want to know in advance what kind of a meal I want. We actually check it out and see kind of like what style of food serving. Generally, I opt for a vegetarian because I know that I'm going to be less grossed out by whatever's on my plate than if I go with the meat option.
Yeah.
Mm.
You
Mystery
meat on
meat.
no, even if it's not mystery meat, right? If you're doing chicken for 100 people, it's hard to do chicken for 100 people. So I usually go for the vegetarian option so that I don't sit there picking at my food trying to find veins in the chicken and bits of fat in the beef because then
Mm.
I'm out in public and people might stare at me.
I think that's a really good look into a different perspective, because I just mentioned that our relationships with food is intimate, and hearing Ian say that I don't eat when I'm not hungry, it's like, okay, so that's an entirely different perspective looking at it. It's nice to know that it's not for something else. I wanted to ask if are there any types of food that you enjoy to eat, or will everything just for nourishment, just so you stay alive? I see. It's an entirely different perspective, and it's nice to look at it. So yes, I'll go ahead and try options for Zoe to have. My goal was to just make sure that she eats, so I get whatever she'll eat. And she always for. I think I'll go ahead and not put a range of options in there that she'll have a hard time deciding which, considering the sensory issues. And so yeah, thank you.
Mm. Yeah.
Sometimes
I mean,
just gone.
often in this house, we have different meals on an evening for that reason, because it dependent, always comfort food, something like, sausages, burgers. The one that I tend to go towards if I really don't feel like eating is cheese and salami toasties. And what one has to have pickle, one has to have Marmite. There's a routine and a pattern to them. And that is simply just to get food in. If I'm out in a restaurant with friends, sometimes people can't believe how much I can actually eat. When the dessert menu comes up, that's the worst thing because I will have 2 or 3 options if they're available. To your point, Lois, in restaurants, I don't go with the vegetarian option. I look at 2 or 3 things on a menu and think, I'd like a bit of that, but I also want a bit of that and a bit of that. Sometimes you can actually ask, especially if it's something in a particular sauce, can I have that in that sauce? Or if it's a pizza and you go with a calzone, can you add this on top of that? If I've ordered something, it was okay. And that is so frustrating because it's automatic. And I'm like, no, I wanted to try something else that I didn't try the last time. I know it's there. I know how it's made.
So
Yeah. So
is that a fear then that you'll order the other thing and be disappointed and wish that you'd ordered that instead? Just
no,
like it's an impulse and you can't stop yourself.
it's an impulse. Rather than going through the menus and weighing up the probability and then deciding, do I want this more than that? It's just far easier to forget all of that and go, I've had this before. I know they do it here. I'll have.
And
So
some
if I go with something like Domino's, for example, if I order pizza, what I tend to do is the newest thing that they have on the menu, I tend to give that a go. If I'm in a supermarket and I see something that says new, I'll pick it up just to give it a try. For as much pattern and routine there is also the variety of grabbing something new, whether that's with chocolate, whether that's food, whether that's a specific type. I'm just drawn to the new
I
as
was
well.
just on there's always spectrums with the traits, right? And that there's different way that the traits interact with us based on our experience. A lot of adults struggle with the fact that their taste buds really aren't varied. They're really narrow, and there's the fear of stepping outside of that. We've grown up with different flavors and spices. I don't necessarily have aversions to hot food or curry, but I do have an aversion to certain things presented in certain ways, like cold soup or chicken stew is really bizarre to me, and, like, there's just things that, like, a kind of turkey burger, like, I couldn't eat it, and it would make me physically unable to eat because my brain can't comprehend how the thing is being presented to me. I really struggle. For years, I would only eat potatoes as roast potatoes or chips. I hated mashed potatoes or boiled potatoes or anything else. Over the years, I've learned to kind of like jacket potatoes as long as they're just covered in tons of butter, but still can't do the boiled potatoes. And there's other things where I can have it in one form, but I can't eat it in another. It's just like my brain knows it's not going to hurt me. It knows it's not a bad thing. My body's just like, there's something wrong with that, or that doesn't belong in there. Brian came up to me this weekend and said they were going to make a stew that had pork in it and fruits and different things. And Brian knew that my brain was going to be like, nope, and I wasn't going to eat. So he offered to cook something that he knew they liked and I liked because he knew, like, hey, Lois will eat that. She knows what's in it and everybody will enjoy it. Aversion, like, it's like, no.
Is it really important for have you met anyone like you before I should know what's in this bow? Lois, what about you? It's a must.
Well, it is and it isn't, right? Sometimes I can eat a burger in most places, and you don't always know with a burger. I kind of know what I'm getting. I'm not going to buy a burger from somewhere that I think is like not a place I want to eat food from, right? So if I'm in a restaurant and I can't decide what I want to eat, but it's like a nicest restaurant and they do like grass-fed beef burgers or whatever it is, then I'm gonna have a grass-fed beef burger, right? Because to me, on the menu, it's like, okay, I know what I'm getting with a burger. But there are times when I've ordered a burger and I've taken a bite of it and I've kind of said to Brian, I can't eat this. To know what's in my food, some of that might have come from mum because she always kind of told us, know what you're eating, as fresh as you can, etc. But then you eat very beige food, right, Ian, most of the time because you don't wanna decide. By beige food, I mean, like, pizza or burgers and things like you've already talked about.
What's in my food? When I was living in Bangkok and you've got the street stalls there selling the insects, I would have a bag of crickets, cockroaches. I will try anything at least once. If I don't like it, I won't have it again.
Yeah.
What tends to trip me, and the one thing that I don't like, it's more to do with texture. I can't have tomatoes on bread because I cannot abide soggy
Soggy
bread.
bread.
You know,
Gross.
it yeah, it's textures like that, and yet I can have a bowl of soup and dip bread into it, but it's at such a pace that it doesn't cause it to be soggy. I've seen people tear up a roll before and stick it all in, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. So it's more textures that get me than the actual food.
And that makes sense. I understand that.
I totally connected with you on that. Soggy tomato bread. Cucumbers do that to bread
Mhm.
too. Salad doesn't belong between 2 slices of bread. Put it on the side if you wanna be healthy. It doesn't
Yeah.
belong on a burger either. I get really upset when somebody serves me a burger, especially if I've specified no lettuce or tomato and it comes with lettuce and tomato. I'm literally gonna take that off and put it on the side and not eat it. If I'm eating a burger, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm gonna be healthy and have a salad with it. So I'll eat the
Mm.
onions and the gherkins and things like that, but yeah, no, like, I'm offended by
Yeah.
salad on bread.
I much prefer gherkins on the side of the plate. And I think they do that in the States quite a bit where they just stick them on the side.
And you can add them yourself. A
Yeah.
big pickle is like the feature here, not the bug. Love a good pickle. I can't eat any meat with fat on it, but then
No.
everybody around me loves fat, and they
Ugh.
get really excited, like, taking it off the plate and eating it because he loves that fatty stuff. and they're all getting their steak as marbled as possible. Like in Mexico, I had one of those Wagyu steaks that are like, and we had to get it boxed up and leave because I was very unwell. I think I was actually very unwell, but it didn't sit well in my mouth either.
No, you can taste it, can't you? With weird food combinations, that just reminded me because we've got a local burger place. Funnily enough, it's in a gas station. They do some really great burgers. They have Wagyu burgers. One burger they do, which is really nice, is Belgian chocolate. It's a beef burger, but instead of ketchup, it's Belgian chocolate sauce on there. You get the fries, and the fries have chocolate sauce. And it is really nice. It works really well. But it's just a weird food combination. No, don't
It's
like those.
very few places are serving legit Wagyu because of how the Wagyu beef stock is circulated around the world and who's allowed to sell it. There are other types of beef that are basically kept in the same way. They're just not the Wagyu ones that advertise as Wagyu, but they're usually a little cheaper and stuff. I just don't get the whole like people sucking the bones of meat and things. Ribs are huge over here. I watch people doing that and it disturbs me. Do you eat
See,
those?
And
I
for
have.
what? Go ahead.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I was going to say about the ribs and all that. When you were kids, you lived in Asia, right? Here in the Philippines, we do have like bone marrow is served either
Mm.
cut lengthwise, and it's a challenge because you would feel it doesn't really taste anything like, but it feels good. And then later on, it feels bad because you feel a little dizzy, a little sick. Your cholesterol is up. So I was wondering if you remember anything. I'm trying to remember any aversion to food that I have. I would eat anything. Having grown up from a household that had a scarcity of food, but there's one thing that I don't do: eat with my hands. I don't like getting my hands dirty. For a culture where you use your hands a lot, there's a certain enjoyment when you use your hands to eat. I just don't get it. So I was wondering if you can share stories about you growing up and the food around you. It should be different compared to what it is right now. Ian, you're in the UK. Lois, you're in the US. It's probably a lot different compared when you were kids.
I think we could both agree that liver and kidney and
Oh,
kippers
yes.
are a crime
No.
against kippers. Do you like them?
I don't mind
Oh.
kippers, but liver and kidneys, no chance.
Organs should not be consumed. There's too many
Mm.
outbreaks and things that have come from animals consuming the organs of other animals. Even cats don't consume the entire mouse when they eat it. They leave little bits, the pancreas or whatever it is. So, yeah, just oh, no. I think me and you, Ian, have magnified memories of how often things happened when we were little. We probably didn't have kidney or liver on the dinner table that often. Maybe like a couple of
Mm.
times, and was so averse to it that we probably didn't eat it that many times. But I definitely remember mom frying liver and kidney and trying to get us to eat that.
I Yes, that was torture as a child because there were many occasions where that was being done, and then we would refuse to eat. But then other things like cod liver oil tablets, and yeah,
That
no, that was cod liver oil. She had cod liver oil, but mom had the tablets because she went, "Try these; they're not as bad until you bit into once."
wait, you just
Yeah,
you're not supposed to bite into.
there were times. I mean, kippers, I don't mind. What I don't like with fish is when there's a lot of bones, and you're then having to pick bones out from everything.
That
Maybe. But it's the smokiness of it more than anything. But probably the times in Asia, especially in Thailand, living in the north, away from civilization and sharing the food. And you're right, Kale, it's very much a culture of you cook, everybody sits down, you're using your hands with the rice, you're using your hands for everything, and a lot of sharing going on with it. But I never used to mind that, and I never used to mind the food. One thing I did say to Lois about Asia was the one thing that I really hated, and I'm sure you've probably got a bottle somewhere, is fish sauce. Because
Mm.
everybody uses fish sauce in everything, and that was horrible.
It's fish sauce.
Fish sauce and fish paste. So there are two options.
Yeah.
There was an issue they found out. There was a manufacturer in the Philippines breeding janitor fishes to make fish
Mm.
sauce. So we have to avoid that manufacturer. My friend said there's one thing you should avoid. It's fish sauce.
Yeah. Depends culture, because it's fermented fish that they use, isn't it? And it's like, if you take Sweden or Scandinavia with stroming, and just imagine when you see people online opening a tin of that, and I mean, fish sauce probably isn't to that strength, but yeah,
What
yeah,
about sardines and anchovies?
I'm not.
How are you, like, related to me right now? I thought that was something we shared, but I guess my memory lied to me, and it was just me all along. Maybe I just tried to group you in with me, thinking that I wasn't the only weirdo with food, but maybe I am. Gross.
I'm not a fan of sardines and anchovies.
In
I've had
general,
them.
though, like,
I don't go out my way.
what about salmon?
I'll eat it if I have to, but I don't go out of my way for salmon.
I like salmon, but I will not eat salmon belly. In the Philippines, they put it in soup.
Mhm.
I know that in certain countries and areas that's to be thrown out. Like the head, the tail, and the belly.
Mm.
I had a really bad aversion to fish until after my dad died. I went to the Dominican Republic and I had sea bass off a grill.
Oh,
And I tried it and it was actually really tasty. And I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. I branched out into the whitefish area a little bit. I did open my horizons, so now I can eat sea bass, cod, haddock, fluke. I have had trout, and I guess it was okay. Catfish tastes like the flora of a river, but none of them are fishy fish, right? They're kind of more meaty fish.
yeah.
Same with tuna. It's
Mm.
more of a meaty fish, and I can kind of deal with that, but I couldn't eat it raw. It has to be cooked. Everything has to be actually cooked. It's not that I haven't tried other things, but they still make me physically repulsed. I've tried salmon and I can't get it past the front of my mouth. My mouth just won't allow it to be eaten. The smell, no matter what shape or form salmon comes in. I remember being traumatized as a kid. I remember opening salmon to make salmon sandwiches on a Saturday when we sat down to watch TV and telling me that it was like tuna, and it definitely wasn't tuna, it was salmon. Still
Mhm.
scarred to this day from her lying to me. So it's like when you know you're being deceived about something. No
It's
pressure,
like if you
parents.
pretend. It's like if you pretend it's something else, you might eat it. I
Yeah.
think was the aim of that.
Exactly. Time and pick other people's plates and go, "Let me try that," and I'm like, "Yeah, still definitely not." Um, but the smell of fish, depending on like lamb too, the smell of lamb will make. Alright.